I now give the floor to the representative of the United States.
Thank you, President, for convening today's important debate. Thank you also to Secretary General Antonio Guterres, Ms. Melina Travalos, and Mr. Christian Buger for your informative briefings. The United States agrees with Greece that this is an issue of critical importance for international peace and security. For this reason, President Trump directed firm action to safeguard maritime security and economic prosperity against many threats. Mr. President, some of these threats come from terrorist groups. For example, the Houthis have terrorized maritime traffic passing through the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden for years, affecting 30% of all international container traffic. They have targeted multiple ships, killed innocent sailors, and hijacked the Galaxy Leader. At President Trump's direction, the United States took punishing action to defend freedom of navigation against the Houthis. Under pressure, the Houthis have backed down from attacking American ships, but they will face further punishing strikes if they attack U.S. vessels again. We condemn their continued attacks on Israel and support Israel's right to respond. Mr. President, some countries also pose serious threats. They support terrorist groups, bully other countries, or use coercion to disrupt maritime routes and trade. The Houthis were able to threaten Red Sea maritime traffic due largely to Iran's defiance of the UN arms embargo on the Houthis. This Council must not tolerate this defiance and should impose consequences for sanctions violations. Tehran does not threaten maritime security only through the support of terrorist groups, however. It also acts directly. Iran's repeated unlawful attacks on and seizure of commercial vessels transiting international waters is yet another threat to freedom of navigation. We call for Iran to release the vessels it still holds, including the MSC Ares and Advantage Suite. Mr. President, another threat to global maritime security is China. We have seen China's coercion time and again in the South China Sea and its aggressive actions in the Taiwan Strait. The theme of today's debate refers to international cooperation. The world should look at China's actions rather than its empty claims when judging its contributions to international cooperation. Let us remember, China dangerously obstructed a Philippine operation near Scarborough Reef, even as it touted leadership during its Security Council presidency in February. Throughout 2024, China unlawfully blocked the Philippines from accessing and exploiting its exclusive economic zone, undermining high seas freedoms for all countries. The United States stands with the Philippines. Once again, we condemn China's dangerous and unlawful actions in the South China Sea, and we call on China to abide by the 2016 arbitral ruling. Mr. President, to improve maritime security, we must also ensure the world's shipping lanes remain open to navigation and free from threats of violence, crime, and other illicit activities. The Houthis, as mentioned, continue to obtain arms in defiance of the Security Council's resolutions. The United States now sees evidence that the Houthis, in providing support to al-Shabaab, are acquiring dual-use components and imagery from China. The UN Verification and Inspection Mechanism, UNVIM, can be a critical tool in preventing those arms from reaching the Houthis via maritime routes. In fact, earlier this month, UNVIM successfully interdicted 4 shipping containers of illicit materials bound for Houthi-controlled ports. This interdiction clearly demonstrates the effectiveness of this mechanism. We all need to continue supporting its operations. To that point, we urge member states to donate directly to UNBEM, which needs only $11 million per year to operate at full capacity. President, the United States welcomes the recent collaboration between the UN Office on Drugs and Crime and the Malta-based Global Center for Maritime Sanctions Monitoring, also known as the Spinola Center, to provide capacity building, training, vessel tracking, and analysis to member states. We also strongly support the collaborative efforts of the Registry Information Sharing Compact, or RISC. RISC was founded by the flag registries of Panama, Liberia, and the Marshall Islands to combat the practice of flag hopping by vessels and shipping companies that are suspected of engaging in illicit practices, including UN sanctions violations. The RISC currently includes 15 shipping registries, representing more than 20% of the world's flagged vessels and nearly 50% of global gross tonnage. We urge registries that are not currently members of the RISC to join this important initiative, one that is quickly setting the global standard for compliance with international maritime law. Mr. President, once again, the United States thanks Greece for this initiative and looks forward to continued engagement on international efforts to counter maritime security threats. I thank you.
I thank the representative of the United States for her statement, and I would now like to give the floor to the representative of China.
Your Excellency, Prime Minister Mitsotakis, I appreciate Greece's initiative in organizing this meeting and welcome your presence in New York to preside over today's open debate. I thank the Secretary General Guterres and other briefers for their briefings. President, oceans and seas nurture life, connect the world, and promote development. They are the common home of the entire mankind. Taking care of our common home, maintaining maritime security, and strengthening global ocean governance are of great significance to the promotion of world peace, stability, development, and prosperity, and a common responsibility for all countries. We must uphold the concept of a maritime community with a shared future. This blue planet that we share does not consist of isolated islands separated by oceans, but is one connected by oceans as a community with a shared future. The peace and tranquility of the oceans is a matter of concern for the safety and interests of all countries in the world. We must uphold the spirit of achieving shared growth through consultations and collaboration, and jointly safeguard maritime security, promote maritime development, and discuss ocean governance so that the oceans can truly become a bond for us to promote exchanges and win-win cooperation rather than an abyss that separates and disconnects us from each other. We must maintain a just and reasonable maritime order. The United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea has established a basic legal framework for the modern order of the oceans and has played an important role in promoting global ocean governance. Together with other sea-related treaties and customary international law, the Convention provides legal norms for the determination of maritime zones and conduct of maritime activities. All countries need to safeguard the maritime order underpinned by international law. UNCLOS should be interpreted and applied accurately, comprehensively, and in its entirety. Selectivity and double standards must be rejected. We must work together to maintain maritime security and stability. At present, pirate attacks, drugs and arms smuggling, and human trafficking at sea and other criminal activities are rampant, jeopardizing maritime security and exacerbating regional instability. The international community must work together to prevent and combat these problems in accordance with international law. We should pay attention to the relevant Security Council resolutions. We should pay attention to the legitimate and maritime security concerns of all countries, insist on resolving disputes and conflicts through dialogue and consultation, continuously improve the crisis communication mechanism, and strengthen maritime security cooperation. Specific disputes involving territorial and maritime rights and interests should be resolved peacefully through friendly consultations between parties directly involved. It is not in anyone's interest to stir up confrontation between maritime camps or to engage in a zero-sum game. We should join hands to strengthen global ocean governance. The sustainable development of mankind is closely related to a healthy marine environment. We must take care of the ocean and protect it as we do with our lives. At present, issues such as maritime environmental protection, climate change, sea level rise, and emerging maritime activities are of common interest to the international community. We should follow the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development as a guideline, expand practical cooperation at sea, explore potentials of the oceans, and jointly promote development and utilization of the oceans to serve economic and social development so as to realize the harmonious coexistence of man and ocean. As a major maritime nation, China is committed to the common guardianship of maritime homeland and maintenance of common maritime security. Will always be a builder of global ocean governance, a promoter of sustainable development of oceans and seas, and defender of global maritime security and stability. We stand ready to work with the international community to make unremitting efforts to promote the building of an ocean order of peace and tranquility and win-win cooperation, and to build together a maritime community with a shared future. President, the Security Council is not an appropriate place to discuss the South China Sea issue. Just now, in a statement, the United States representative mentioned the South China Sea issue, to which China is firmly opposed, and we will respond as such. 1. The United States, under the banner of the freedom of navigation, it sent its military vessels to the South China Sea and to flex its muscles and stir up the confrontation. United States itself is the biggest threat to the peace and stability of the South China Sea. 2. In respect to the historical facts and the international law, and China adhere to the appropriate resolution of our differences on the basis of historical fact and international law. The so-called award on the South China Sea arbitration cases is illegal and invalid, which China neither accepts nor recognizes. 3. Under the common development and common efforts of China and ASEAN countries, the current situation in the South China Sea remains generally stable. We're confident that we're able to make the South China Sea a sea of peace, a sea of friendship, and a sea of cooperation. 4th, we hope that the United States will honor their commitment on the issues regarding China. Last, I wish to remind my U.S. colleagues that I don't know if he realized that his speech is in stark contrast to what the other statements made by other colleagues. The statements made by the Secretary General as well as our colleagues all revolve around how we can carry out cooperations and to safeguard maritime security, while the United States take advantage of the opportunity to attack other countries. And we hope that the United States can play a constructive role together with other countries in maintenance of the maritime security. Thank you.
I would like to thank the representative of China.